Namaste to everyone. I, Dr. S.C. Patil, a professor in the PG Department of Business Administration, Rani Chennamma University, Belgaum, planning to talk about methods of teaching. Let us today look at what are the different methods of teaching available and how best we can use them in our teaching profession. There's a small picture which has been put across. It talks about how old schools or universities operated years ago. It is rightly said that the best of the curriculum and the most perfect syllabus remains dead unless quickened into life by the right methods of teaching and the right kind of teachers. Plenty of times we hear students expressing that this teacher's class is good, that teacher class is good. Why do they express that? The expression happens because the teacher puts in his life in the same syllabus which has been designed. When I say life, life is nothing but the methods of teaching. As we go through, we can see different methods of teaching which are available, but a good teacher doesn't take a single method. He always opt for combination of methods. Why combination of methods? Because a curriculum which is designed in such a way that you bring in all types of methods of teaching to make it more effective. There are few definitions which have been taken down of teaching methods. The method of teaching in which approaches most likely to the method of investigation. This was a definition by Baruch. Then there was another definition by Burton. A device implies the external mode or form in which teaching method is a stimulation, guidance, direction, and encouragement for learning. We have always seen that students have different ways of absorbing information and they demonstrate their knowledge. So teacher often use technique which cater to multiple learning style to which a student from retain information and strengthen understanding. So the methods accepted by the teacher must link the teacher and her students in an organic relationship with constant mutual interaction. Always the teacher or merely question answer method would not be adequate. Students will have to expose to variety of learning experiences involving book learning, observation, interviewing, surveying, interpreting, reviewing, recording, reporting, and evaluating in comprehensive objective of teaching any subject for a student. And when we look at the mixture of all this, the type of growth and the behavioral changes to be brought about in the student and need to make him an enlightened, discriminating, dynamic, productive, and democratic citizen would make it imperative to provide him learning experiences geared to end. Why? There are two bifurcations what we have done. Why need variety of methods? The first one is there is no royal road to successful learning. There are many roads, highways, byways, royal roads, narrow lanes, delightful paths, and rough ones, which need to be tried for meeting particular need and situation. The teacher should be able to use any permutation and combination. As I started and told you that there is no single method, but you can try 2 or 3 methods together so that you are able to achieve what is required, that learning satisfaction from the student side. You can also mix the devices and techniques to make the subject interesting, vital, and living for examples. Second method is avoid monotony. Different lessons or units demand different approaches of teaching. A teacher uses the same method for every curriculum and every circumstances and every lecture, then students lose it because they start feeling the monotony of the teacher's advice. So 2 basic things. One is there is no royal road for successful learning, and second one is avoid monotony. To achieve all this, there are characteristics which has been listed down here. The characters should be imparting knowledge in an efficient manner, the characteristics of teaching methods. Inculcate desirable values on proper attitudes and habits of work in the student. Create a genuine attachment to work and desire to do it effectively, honestly, and thoroughly as possible. The principle of verbalism and memorization activity and project method should be assimilated in social practice. Students must actively participate and apply knowledge. Clear thinking and clear expression increases ability to work in group. Methods of teaching should be understandable to all category of students and benefit all of them. What shall be our objectives? Objective shall be inculcate the desire to do work with maximum efficiency, which one is capable of. Develop the capacity of clear thinking. Provide adequate opportunity for participation. Expand student interest. Provide opportunity to students to apply practicality, the knowledge and skill acquired by them. Teamwork, sense of security, mastery of the subject matter. With these objectives, always we need to start teaching. As I told you, there are 8 to 9 methods which are there. There are n number of methods, but I have listed down 8 to 9 methods, which we shall look in detail, which are possible to adaptation under the circumstance of teaching social science, arts, or basic science. As listed here, the first one, as we all know, is what is called lecture method. But prior to that, there is also a method called storytelling. This is a very old traditional method which has been adopted by all of us, but today very less practiced, that storytelling process. But it's a very effective method for subjects where you are trying to tell or motivate a student. If there is a subject called ED, you are trying to bring in the success stories of the entrepreneurs or the failure of an entrepreneur. When a student understands that this is what is called success, this is what is called failure, with the help of storytelling process only. So storytelling has been a method of teaching, but depending on what subject you teach and what extent you teach and what methodology you can adopt would depend on adopting that first method called storytelling. I have not included the storytelling only because that is a very meager amount of observation which can be brought in, and it's a combination. It cannot be an independent one. Independently, I cannot go on telling stories and teach subject, so I have not brought it as one of the methods. The first method which I have written down here is called lecture method. observation method, conventional or question answer method, note dictation, discussion method, the assignment method, project method, the problem method, it's called problem solving method, then socialized recitation method. Let us look at the first one, which is called lecture method. Lecture method is the oldest procedure of teaching subjects for social science, arts, and basic science, imparting authenticated, systematic, and effective information about some events and trends. The method is particularly used in secondary courses and above. It can be used for these causes: to motivate student, to clarify his doubts, to review what he has learned, and to expand the contents of the syllabus. This lecture method can prove particularly in dealing with units concerned to history, concerned to logic, concerned to theoretical concepts, concerned to mathematical concept. So under all these circumstances, we know that lecture method has been very positively used by all of us. Let us look at what are the advantages of this. The advantage of lecture method: it's a well prepared and well delivered lecture can make students interesting. Lecture will give the teacher an opportunity to come into immediate contact with the students. Lecture saves time. Lecture shall give the students training in listening and taking rapid notes. There is also in this lecture method, there is also a method called question answer method. When a monotonous lecturing happens, we lose students. Normally, when it's a 1 hour slot, normally a student who is very good, or an average student, will be only attentive to an extent of 35 to 45 minutes. So normally, to keep that motive among the students and keep them attentive in the class, this method is a very good method to keep them active in the class. When I say active, when I raise questions, students normally participate. When they participate, their participation will give them an enhancement of knowledge and also support from a teacher. Here, the teacher puts the question to the student. The answer given by the student are supplemented and elaborated by the teacher. So what is expected from the student when we do this question answer method? It is basic idea of start. If a student is able to give a word which is part of an activity of discussion, I can, as a teacher, I can elaborate on that particular point. So basic question of questioning a student is to just get the hint that he has understood something which I was trying to deliver in this particular lecture. It is believed that by asking questions, the relevant experience in the memory of a student comes to the surface. That means he brushes up his old knowledge. And the familiar and known association helps in learning and granting the unfamiliar and the unknown value of knowledge. So basic here activity of question answer method is ask 2 or 3 questions, select students who are active, attentive, one or two who are not attentive, so that you are able to bring in the whole class together in the whole learning process. Students normally hesitate when you ask questions in the initial stage. To take off this hesitation, always provoke them with questions so that they are able to answer those questions where they have knowledge. And always we have to act as an instigator, where I start out something, push him to some corner and try to get answer from him. And that would help you make students memorize or understand what is that you are trying to say to them or communicate to them. The second method is what is called observation method. It's a rightly believed that direct experiences are more effective in the purpose of learning and retained for a long period of time. It is rightly believed that the experiences are very the process is very effective. Learning has been retained for a longer period. These observation methods are purposeful experience which are seen, handled, tasted, touched, felt, and smelled. Normally, when we talk of observation method, subjects which are slightly practical in nature, or a student has to go and look at what is happening there and then bring that experience to the class, and then you are allowed to discuss, debate, and come to a conclusion. So to complete an observation method, we have three methods which are there. One is called field trips. Then we have community surveys. Then we have community service projects. When I talk of field trips, even if a teacher is talking about operations management, a subject called operations management, which basically talks about manufacturing. So if you talk about manufacturing to a theoretical basis, his understanding will have limitations. So best way to teach him is take him to 3-4 industries, different industries, show him how is the production process there. Let him understand what is a production process, how is the raw material coming in, how is the manufacturing process happening, how does the material go out. If he is able to understand the whole sequence of different varieties of manufacturing products, then when he comes back, he can directly relate his learning to what you are trying to teach. If you are teaching banking services, take him to a bank. Tell him how is a bank, how does a bank operate? What are the different designations available? What each individual person involved in the banking sector does? How is a SB account opening happening process? What is the process? How is the SB accounts opened? If you are able to take him, show him what is happening there, bring him back to the class and start teaching him that particular subject, the learning is very effective. Depending on subjects, you plan where you want to take him, right? But that learning is a lifetime learning, what I look at, and I prefer, depending on subject, you need to plan these techniques. So when I said field trips, these may be undertaken for securing information. Securing means collecting information, changing attitudes, awakening interest, developing aspiration, promoting ideas, enjoying new experiences. And normally when you talk of community services, if I'm teaching something related to ethics, if I'm teaching something related to core competencies, skills, the best way to teach him is send him to a community. Ask him to spend time there. Find out how does that community operate, why that community operates in that way. Let him go for a small projects, collect information, come back, and then ask him to explore that experience, share that experience to the students, that there is always a learning process which is more effective and more stronger compared to the other methods. Then we have another method called questioning method. The other one was question answer method of lecture method. This is an independent questioning method. It's a very ancient method of teaching. The key to successful questioning is asking questions at an appropriate content level that stimulates the response. So he is saying that the teacher puts the question to the people, the answers given by the students lead to the development of lessons to be presented. So I'm trying to raise questions and asking them to find the methods, paths, knowledge about different activities. Today, it's a electronic age. Students are quite faster in browsing the data and getting what is new into the system. Maybe teachers, we may slightly slow down our activities, but students are fast in getting information. So if you are able to probe an unknown variable into his head, he starts searching based on that. And based on that, you are able to deliver, bring in new concepts and make him to learn what is there inside in that particular body of knowledge. And we also say that by asking questions, the relevant past experience come to the force and familiar, and known association helps in learning and grasping the unfamiliar and unknown knowledge. But there's also an advantage here that in this question answer sessions, that there's a method supported by, I can support it by visual aids, pictures, charts, modules, films, film strips, and devices like dramatization in different forms. Normally in the teaching process, if I want to bring out certain concepts of management, we normally get in a small clipping of a film. A film is shown to a student and he is left to think, and questions are raised based on that particular clipping. When I start asking questions related to the clipping, a student visualizes that particular activity and brings in those concepts which I am able to teach in the learning process. So very effective method of teaching, which I call it as the questioning method. But a lot of homework has to be done by a teacher, because a teacher should be ready to accept all different views which are given by a student and consolidate those views and bring the students to the track and tell what we are planning to teach. The fourth one is a pretty old one. Some teachers use note dictation as one of the methods of teaching students. Why do they use these methods? See, it is still in practice because of reasons which I have listed down here, or it may be other reasons also. But yes, note dictation is still as one of the methods of teaching. Why it happens? It happens because there's a lack of textbook. We don't have good textbooks, or textbooks have been written in different languages, or they have written in a language which is not been understandable by our student. Slightly language used is higher one. So students do not grasp what is being written in that. So as a teacher, I reduce that particular subject, I reduce the language of the particular subject and try to bring in notes to the students. There's a pressure of work. I've been handling a lot of subjects, so I'm not able to work on all the subjects with different methods. So I prefer to go for note dictation. Because we have converted our yearly system, semester system run very fast, 3 months, 4 months down the line. Because of a lot of work pressure, we adopt to go for note dictation. Shortage of time and pressure of work are interlinked there. Then we have external examination. The teacher dictates notes of important and expected questions to get good results. There is lack of power of expression. There are few teachers who are not able to express. They have knowledge, but they are not able to express that knowledge in the class. They have fear. They have other variables of expressions. So what do? They prefer to adopt for note dictation process. The fifth one is a discussion method. Then discussion is one of the most valuable method of teaching. And they say two heads are better than one. But when a number of heads combine to solve problems, wonderful results can be achieved. Discussion as a method of teaching may be used for the following purpose: laying plans for new work, making decisions concerning future actions, sharing information, obtaining and gaining respect for various points of view, clarifying ideas, inspiring interest, evaluating process. See, when I talk of discussion method, I am also talking of something called as team teaching. What is team teaching? Two faculties go together in a classroom who are well versed in the subjects of their knowledge, club together, they conduct class. When I say club together, each one is, as I told, is a mastery on a particular subject. When that particular topic is being spoken, that particular ex-teacher expresses in his views, and why teachers come down when his part of teaching comes down. And team teaching has been a very effective tool in the process where I've experienced that. Trying out team teaching is always fruitful if the people are of similar age, similar thinking process, or similar attitude people. Then team teaching would be a very effective tool of teaching students. There are different forms of discussions, what have been resulted here. One is a debate, symposium, panel discussion, and brainstorming. As we all know, a debate is a program in which two or more students holding contradictory opinions on a particular problem presents their argument. Each one is given a time slot of 3 minutes or 5 minutes, 1 minute, depending on the time what you have, depending on the topic what is given down to them. You are trying to showcase to all the students that for every topic, there are two faces of a topic. It means that there's a two face of a coin. So there is pro and cons for every topic which is taken out. If you selectively take a topic and give them for discussion and debate, it will be giving a healthy output of learning process. Then we have symposiums. Here the participants present to the audience their views about various aspects of selected problems or topics through speeches or proper reading. So a person is prepared to deliver a lecture or prepared to deliver a small presentation, and that we call it a symposium. And there you are supposed to select those topics which are very relevant, new, simple for a student to present it to all the rest of the class. Then we have panel discussion. Normally panel discussion is a discussion which happens with external people but part of teaching process. We can get in 3 or 4 experts who are expert in that field, ask them to be part of a panel, allow a topic for discussion, let the panel discuss on pros and cons of discussion, and students hear those pros and cons and try to accumulate that knowledge of panel discussion. Then we have a brainstorming activity. Brainstorming is here the participants are stimulated to create a storm of ideas and suggestions regarding the topic without any deliberation to find whether or not they are meaningful and purposeful. So a topic is given to them, they are asked to brainstorm that activities, no prior time, no preparation, without preparation and readiness, students expose themselves with that body of knowledge and try to cover up what is required in that particular activity. There's a procedure for discussion. We'll just have a look at the points of procedures here. Planning the discussion, preparedness of the student, preparedness of the teacher, planning the discussion, planning for students, planning for teacher, conduct of discussion, and conduct of discussion, what teachers should do, what students should do, how it should happen, in what direction it should go, and evaluate it. Has it gone in the same direction? What I had planned as a teacher, how it should happen, has it happened? If not, then what should I do? Should I rectify it? Should I bring in my view of ideas to the discussion, or should I pour in some other person's view into that and let me conclude with that particular activity? So discussion should happen with always evaluation, and it's a continuous process of planning, preparation, conduct, and evaluation. The sixth method is an assignment method. The next of all of them are all supplement to the previous activities. They cannot be independent. When I say supplement, because with the lecture method, or with the question answer method, or with the dictation method, I'm attaching my assignment method together. Or when I talk of discussion method, I'm attaching assignment method to that. So it's not independent. But here I'm trying to say that it can also be a method of teaching. The whole of the syllabus is split into significant topics or units. Each unit or unit in its turn is subdivided into assignments. So I'm trying to ask students see, as of now, students also have lethargic attitude of writing. Students feel exhausted after 2 hours of writing maybe 5 or 10 pages, because he doesn't have a habit of writing today. So to increase that habit of writing, assignments can be a good option to be given to a student, because he needs to search for information, extract information, reproduce that information in the assignment format, and then submit. Always, when I say assignment should be a handwritten one, not the printout one. If there's a printout one, if you collect, then there is no student's involvement, because he just go to the web, cut paste what is available in the net, and submit it to you. There's no learning as such which happens. So when you talk of assignment method, I'm talking of only those assignments which are handwritten, where you have difficulties in giving more examples, lengthy examples. So you are trying to give him assignments so that he prepares it and submit it to you, so that you can evaluate those assignments. The next method is the project method. So this has been a method which has been very widely used as of now, and it has been projected as activity where students are willing to do that. There's a lot of interest in the student when the project is given now, because project gives him live experience, implication of what is happening there, freedom to think, understand what is reality, bring in the experience, what he has learned in the project, and then expose it out to the people around. When we talk of this project method, it can be, there is something called as running project, a semester full project. That's a running project. What do I mean by running project? A group of students are created, 2 or 3 together, and subjects like marketing research, marketing, service marketing, rural marketing. You can assign some 2 or 3 students, create a group of 2 or 3 students, assign them a project. When I say assign them a project, you are taking them live into the field when you talk of theoretical concepts in the class. You teach theoretical in the class, ask them to go to the field, collect that information, and contradict or support what has been taught in the class. If we are able to do parallel projects, enormous amount of learning happens to the student, because he is practically trying to learn what is being taught in the class in theoretical format. So projects have been good, not semester end projects I'm talking of in-process projects, which are part of the semester depending on the subject. The 8th one is problem solving. Problem solving is a process of overcoming difficulties that appear to interfere with the attention of the goal. It is a procedure of making adjustment in spite of inferences. So we have 5 variables there. It's a cycle again. Identify the problem, explore information, create ideas, select the best idea, build and test the idea, and evaluate the result. We call it as problem-based learning also, problem solving or problem-based learning. There's a method here what we talk about. Learning in student created, student work in small collaborative groups, teacher take part as a guide of learning. New information is acquired through self-directed learning. Learning is driven by challenging open-ended questions. So Problem-based learning is always create some situations. We call it as simulated games, where a situation is created for a student and he is asked to operate under situations. Difficult situations, threatening situations, complicated situations. You give them a situation and try to ask student to explore what would be his view based on that. We also call it as case-based learning, caselet-based learning. When I talk of case-based learning or caselet-based learning, I'm trying to just say that a paragraph is given down to them related to a topic. They try to understand that, replicate that, and then bring it to the class. Here, the teacher role is very important. Teacher role is he listens actively. He ensures equal participation for all students. As a guide or resources, teacher will not teach, he will act as an expert. As I told you, you should be well versed with the case. You should know what are the end results. When I say case, and you may have heard that cases have not there doesn't have a single answer. There are multiple solutions to a case. So when you have multiple solutions also, you should know which is the best among the multiple, because every student will propose their view on that particular problem. You are supposed to consolidate with that particular view and conclude for the class. Hence, a teacher's role is more active, appealing. A lot of learning is required from the teacher under learning process. The last one, which is part of that, where I talk of socialized recitation method. This method is used under introduction of topics, talking over a significant event or for studying a problem. There are techniques of socialized recitation method. There's something called a seminar, workshop, symposium, panel discussion, and brain trust. I've already been expressing on symposium, panel discussion, and brain trust. Only workshop and seminars I've skipped out because they were part of a previous method called discussion method. There are overlapping methods, overlapping concepts which are there over one method to other method, but each one have their own uniqueness of attracting student and holding student. When I talk of seminar, again, a topic shall be given to a student. Let him bring in what he has learned in the process and then put it across in the seminar format. Workshop is, if there is something new, a teacher can be brought in from outside, and only on that particular topic, a particular workshop can be conducted so that students' learning becomes easier. So when we talk of a commerce undergraduate or postgraduate, a student should know what is Tally. If a teacher is not well versed with Tally, try to get experts of Tally, create a workshop for them, so that the learning becomes more stronger. If you are talking of a BCom student, MBA student, BBA student, a student should know how to use an Excel. You can create a workshop for that and ask them to learn how to use Excel. So basic idea of all this is learning improvisation across. I've already spoken about team teaching. It's a combination of two teachers teaching a student, and that's always, I said, a very effective one. And this is being done in all business schools today. I've just talked about team teaching with a single discipline. If it's single discipline means I'm from commerce and each commerce teacher brings two commerce teachers together. Different team experts related to course. I am for a different course, the teacher from a different course. Together we club and then create a subject. So when I talk of econometrics, it's not the economics teacher alone. It's economics teacher with statistic teacher clubbing together, teaching that subject would be more effective. Then we have combined team teaching with related innovation. We normally look at innovations there in teaching process. And when there's innovation, clubbing is always part of that. I hope that in the 40 minutes of my video, I was able to express different methods of teaching and their utility based on your teacher's requirement. I would like to conclude here. When all has been said and discussed, it will have to be admitted that there is no single method of teaching which could be recommended for all the topics and all situations. There is no single method to successful teaching. I thank the management of SVMS College for giving me this opportunity to express my view on methods of teaching. I thank all the participants for patience hearing. Thank you.